Hey guys, welcome back. You probably already heard the big news. For anyone living under a rock, Patrick Star style. Robert Downey Jr. is coming back to the MCU to play Doctor Doom in the new Fantastic Four movie. The Russo brothers will also be coming back to spearhead that project. I was concerned that Disney was doing Disney things again, but the Russo brothers have done stuff like this with timelines.
Just so you know, Jeff, you were not creating 6 different timelines.
Of course I am, Abed. 2.
So it definitely eases my discomfort. I still have a really bad taste in my mouth from J.J. Abrams. He was basically like, "Oh, you guys like desert planets and Millennium Falcons? Check this out." Oh, super weapons, you say? Well, remember the Death Star? I don't want to keep being force-fed member berries.
Remember this song? Sure, I maybe. I love this song. It was fantastic, maybe.
But yeah, I trust the Russo brothers a bit more when it comes to storytelling, so I'm optimistic about it. Anyway, I went and saw the new Deadpool movie. I enjoyed it, but I wanted to rant about something if you'll excuse me. I think being a nerd has been absolutely bastardized by the utter garbage that is The Big Bang Theory. Good God, I absolutely hate that show. First of all, 3-camera sitcoms and laugh tracks have no place in the 21st century. They also don't have actual jokes. The only jokes come from a fictional culture clash. It just didn't make any sense. And like they took this character that people apparently liked and thought he deserved a spin-off. I just want to point out that Sheldon Cooper is a straight-up asshole. I mean, he has to have a redemption arc, but like Jim Parsons has been on record saying, Sheldon doesn't have a developmental disorder. So what? He's just an obnoxious man-child. Why am I supposed to root for that? I'm weirdly into niche stuff like psychology and the law and enjoy Star Wars. Am I only interesting if I study physics and act like a douche? I can seriously rant for hours about that shit show. Sheldon is this obnoxious prick about certain science stuff. But when it came to Star Wars and superheroes, the man didn't care a bit. Seriously, pick a lane, writers. The Big Bang Theory was released in 2007, which is when quote-unquote nerd culture started becoming more mainstream. I mean, you had movies like The Dark Knight.
Let's not blow this out of proportion.
And Iron Man coming out a year later. But I feel like baby boomers and Gen Xers just heard science or Star Wars and just associated everyone who happened to like that stuff with Sheldon.
Penny. Penny. Penny.
And no one actually acts like that. I talked about philosophy before because I really like it. Philosophy literally means the love of knowledge. I absolutely love learning new things. I'm really into channels like Legal and In a Nutshell. I already mentioned Wisecrack. I just get so angry when people hear anything out of what they perceive as the norm and they just instantly think of this.
Bazinga.
Like I said, I can go on for days about that bullshit. I talked about superheroes briefly when I fell down that rabbit hole.
Goodbye, Dinah. Goodbye.
Getting back to Deadpool and Wolverine. There has been a lot of MCU fatigue, and it's gotten to this point where everyone just wants something new. Nerdstalgic covers it very well. I highly recommend that channel. I think Deadpool is a really good release valve for all this pressure that has seemingly been building. Like, he is really good at articulating how the audience feels. Plus, I mean, it's Deadpool. Whether he's fighting a stranger,
Get my country's name out of your fucking mouth. And my soul. Give me that.
Someone he knows. Or himself. You know that mix of gratuitous violence and irreverent humor is going to be on full tilt.
Sorry! Wolverining is hard! Make it stop! Mango try!
But it had Wolverine in it. Back when I was in high school, during the early 2010s, nerd culture really was at its peak. Or its worst. It's really in the eye of the beholder. But yeah, young Dano was one of those stupid kids who thought liking popular things was a personality. That quickly transformed into thinking I was somehow unique. And we know how great that is.
I'm not like other girls.
From a very early age, I was really into comics and graphic novels. Some of my earliest memories are reading Calvin and Hobbes comics. As I grew up, I got into the zits, remember those? Along with superheroes. I got a collection of Wolverine comics in a book, and I just remember I couldn't get enough Wolverine. I ate that shit right up and immediately asked for more. But yeah, Wolverine was always my favorite. He rips.
I mean, come on.
A short guy with facial hair who doesn't play by the rules. Yes please. If we fast forward to present day, I still really liked that medium. I mean, there's Star Wars comics which are just so good. And then Captain Midnight has a graphic novel that is fantastic. And I'm really looking forward to Mr. Ballin's Campfire Stories. I'm actually wearing my Batman Aloha shirt. Or I guess it's Bat Dan. Back to the movie though. It was so badass how they brought Blade back. I mean, he was the OG, and I kept expecting Let the Bodies Hit the Floor to start playing. I never saw Jennifer Gardner as Elektra, so I really don't have positive or negative feelings about that character. I thought it was cool to see Channing Tatum finally be Gambit. I thought him being basically incomprehensible because of his Cajun accent hilarious. They had Chris Evans revive his role as the Human Torch, and I think Deadpool is the perfect vehicle for that. Like I said, the audience easily relates to Deadpool because the plot is purposefully convoluted. I mentioned The Big Bang Theory started in 2007. I graduated high school in 2013. If you're not a dork and didn't do the math, I started high school in 2009. There was definitely a cultural shift back then, as I mentioned, and I kind of fell right into that. I remember going to see The Avengers when it first came out and religiously following the MCU in its early days. I was so friggin' boned up by the Thanos tease you don't even know, dude.
Humans. They are not the cowering wretches we were promised. They stand. They are unruly and therefore cannot be ruled. To challenge them is to court death.
I remember wanting to seem cool, so I found a comic book store in my area, and let me tell you, I took it rather casually, but this shop absolutely did not. It was in like this warehouse that just had boxes upon boxes of old comics. And the toys were just as abundant. I'm talking like weird shit from the 80s that was just incredibly niche. Like obviously there's a market for old Star Wars toys. But like who's buying a board game based off of the A-Team? Obviously they had your big ticket items that every comic store has, but just the sheer amount of what I perceived to be junk was astounding. There was just nothing other than stuff. No care for anything. It was obvious that everything that wasn't a big ticket item was just tossed on a random folding table in the middle of this warehouse. That's literally all the store was. Just weird big ticket items on display and just boxes and folding tables full of junk. It was rather dingy and grimy, like someone had been smoking cigarettes indoors. But it didn't smell like cigarette smoke, so like why was it dirty? They also had like this old rusted out boat in their parking lot for some reason. Yeah, that shit was definitely weird. There's probably a good reason they're no longer in business. Teenage Dano didn't know any better. I just thought every comic book store was like that. I've since been to other stores and discovered most places want to stay in business so they don't do weird shit. Shocking, I know. But everybody's got to learn sometime. I keep telling you to go to my website, disableddanny.com, but I haven't been putting a link in the description. It's there now. Remember to join the Dan fam by subscribing. You already know to be gentle while hitting the like button and notification bell, but I'm going to just repeat myself by reiterating to be gentle. That's it for this week. Peace out.